it comes to being a captive agent, there are pros and cons to it. But first of all, let me explain what a captive agent is. That is when you work for one company and one company only. You are only allowed to sell the products that they offer. Now, there are pros and cons to this. One of them is that generally captive companies will provide you with leads. That is a really good thing. You're going to have people to talk to right up front that you don't have to go out and search for on your own. Captive companies generally are going to provide you with training. Now, because you only work for one company, you only have to learn their products. That does make it a lot easier. They're going to give you lots of training on how to sell, how to make phone calls, which can be very, very valuable, especially early in your career. Now, some captive companies will provide you with a small base pay and then commission on top of that. I know when I started in the industry as a captive, I just went straight to commission pay, but it works out different ways for different companies. When it comes to the cons, in my opinion, you do become a little bit more of a salesperson because you can only offer what this company has to sell. And sometimes the product you have may not be the exact right fit for somebody, but you got to get them covered anyway. Another downside of being captive is you never own your book. The clients that you have are never yours. You don't get to take them with you if you leave. Those are always owned by the company. Another downside is that you can be fired or the company could go out of business. Pretty simple there. Typically, as a captive, you're going to have less location and time freedom. They will have an office you have to go to. They have office hours that you have to keep. They have production requirements or call requirements they're going to make you keep up with. Now, the leads, we talked about those earlier. Sometimes the leads can be good and sometimes they might not be that great. Sometimes you may be working a lead that 25 other people have called in the last year. I don't know. Another thing that tends to run in with captive companies is when you sign on to them, you do have to sign a bunch of papers and they can be very litigious. Sometimes with these captive companies, when you start with them, you have to sign a lot of forms and one of them is called a non-compete. And what that means is after you leave the company, you are not allowed to compete with any business you've written with that company. And oftentimes it includes a non-contact, which means you are not allowed to contact your clients for a certain length of time after you leave that company.